Welcome back to Green Tea, your weekly deep dive into the latest and greatest in climate tech. I'm Ray Byron, one of the co-hosts here, and I'm super excited to be joined by Pavle Jeremic, the founder and CEO of Aether Bio. Pavle, thank you for joining us today.
Excited to be here.
Awesome. Let's dive in.
So my background is I am trained as a biological engineer. I did my undergraduate in bioengineering and astrophysics, dropped out of astro, finished bioengineering. But I've been very fortunate that I was able to start doing synthetic biology research as early as late middle school. And so entering undergrad, I already had 4+ years of lab experience. And so that's really set me up to create the company. And from my background and really the genesis of the company was this concept that I believe that if we can build true nanoscale machinery, we can unlock a future of abundance for the human race. I believe that nature gave us the starting point to build nanoscale machinery, but that to unlock that potential, we have to figure out how to engineer these protein-based catalysts and protein-based machines to do whatever we want, even if that functionality doesn't exist in nature. And that's really the core thesis of the company, is pushing protein engineering beyond what exists in nature to turn them into generalized molecular assemblers.
I believe Aether came on our radar originally because of maybe another sort of vertical within the organization, but lithium extraction. And can you tell me a little bit more about how that sort of feeds into Aether's mission?
So when you think about this future of abundance, there's really two sides to the coin. On one side, there's taking things that already exist and making them more abundant, and that's sort of the most straightforward interpretation of this future. And so our minerals program is really an example of that. We chose to start with lithium because we thought it would have the greatest positive impact to the human race in the shortest period of time. So we're engineering these proteins that grab onto lithium and release it when we want them to, and building a mining technology based off that. But really, it's a generalized mineral extraction technology. It's not just lithium. However, the other side of that coin is if you're able to assemble atoms together in different patterns and different molecules at will, it's not just about making things that already exist and making them more abundant. It's also about enabling molecules and products that simply haven't existed before, couldn't exist before, because they're too impractical to make using traditional chemical synthesis. And that's our materials program. So the materials program is a great example of, without revealing too much confidential information, basically non-linear polymers. So most polymers today are long linear strands. The polymers we make are not, and I'll leave it there. But it turns out that if you can create these network structures of polymers, you can create incredible new materials with programmable properties like self-healing, for example. And so it's really, we try to find applications where we think there's going to be a strong net positive impact in the human race, and we think that there is a really, really strong value proposition behind it, something that's impossible to do using traditional chemistry.
And what would you say makes Aether unique or differentiated on the market?
I would say it's a couple things. One is the focus on engineering new to nature chemistries. This is really very different than other companies in the space that rely primarily on directed evolution. We are not satisfied with the notion that every nature has already solved every problem the human race needs, and lithium is a good example of that. I mean, why would evolution have selected for lithium-binding proteins? They're not relevant to biological systems. So I'd say that's the first component, but actually the second component is, and this is something we've really learned over the last, I'd say year and a half and been working on, is it's not good enough just to engineer the protein and have an interesting concept in the lab. You need to have the expertise and the capabilities in the company to take that interesting bit on the platform and scale it up and test it at real large scale, at benchtop and eventually pilot scale, so that you can learn. Not only can you accelerate your learning cycles at the sort of nanoliter scale when you're high throughput screening, but you can also accelerate your learning cycles at the macro scale. So, Aether, I believe, is fundamentally unique in the sense that it's not just our machine learning and screening capabilities. It's the fact that we can go from interesting hit in the platform to I can hold a prototype of this protein working in a matter of weeks. And so we're learning at all these different levels and trying to vertically integrate those capabilities across the company.
Amazing for the time today. Super excited to be supporting Aether's mission.
Absolutely excited to be working with you guys.